All right, and now we welcome back Nikki Hiltz to the CITIUS Mag podcast, and this is fun because we kind of get to pick things up from where we left off after the U.S. Championship recap episode, and so I think at that point there was still a couple weeks left till the World Championships. Training had been going super well, and so this one will be a fun one where we'll talk kind of what life was like in Tokyo on and off the track, and so in those weeks leading up to Worlds, I guess, like how were the final touches on training, and then ultimately getting yourself, I guess, excited to get to a World Championships? Because I always feel like for USA's, it's easy because it's so stressful all throughout the season and you have to peak there. And then it's like for Worlds, like it's a thing that a lot of people were working up towards. But I think in any conversation you've had, you've kind of always had Worlds and just like this plan to get to the final all kind of mapped out. So like everything had been kind of going according to plan up until that point.
Yeah. No, I think the last time we talked, I was in St. Moritz. Yeah, just putting the finishing touches on everything. And, there's obviously a moment after USA's where you're like, you do have to acknowledge like, okay, I did the big thing. The big box was checked. And now I can really focus on Tokyo in a way that like maybe other countries don't have to stress about. So yeah, I mean, when I was training in St. Moritz, I was like, all eyes were on Worlds, like, and making that final and then seeing if I could do something really special in that final. So, yeah, I mean, St. Moritz was awesome. It's very like zen and like chill there. I feel like that time of year, like there wasn't a ton of, chaos or anything. And I think I just come from a couple big loud stadiums of like Silesia and Brussels. So it was like, okay, this is nice to like just actually get back to the training. And workouts were going well, and the only thing though is it was freezing. It was like extremely cold there, like, and I didn't pack. I packed for like summer, and luckily like Team USA gives us like a big bag of Team USA gear, and it was like randomly a lot of long sleeves and tights, so I had to like break that out sometimes. I was like, oh god, this is not maybe going to be great prep for Tokyo where it's going to be like super hot and humid, but it ended up being fine. Like I got in the sauna a few times, and you try to, also the 1500, it's like it's nothing like a marathon or 10K, but yeah, like I think I was getting, even though I was in like a very chill, good training situation, I was getting excited like every single day. And, especially when you're running well, like no little injuries are coming up, right? You're like, you did the big thing of qualifying. So it's like everything was kind of just like trending really well. Like there was no hiccups whatsoever. And that's, to get to that late in the season and just still feeling healthy and excited, like that's a big win on its own. And so, yeah, I think the next thing was like, just like, the big travel to Tokyo. I was like, okay, got to get up for that because that's like a grind. I mean, you did it. It was like, yeah, it was no joke, that flight over. Yeah, but I think I made really good decisions of like, deciding to pull out of the Diamond League final was like hard because I'm someone that really likes to race and I really wanted to be in it. But it was just like, you know what, actually, I do want some more like threshold workouts or, sharpening workouts like that. So I just kind of kept reminding myself like I am making really good decisions. And, that was with me and my coach, Julie, and, talking through. And yeah, so it was kind of easy to get excited because everything was going so well.
Did Julie ever share sort of like similar feelings about just sort of like revisiting? I mean, it'd been a while, right, since being at the World Championship stage for her. I mean, getting to experience all of this, with you, like just kind of what kind of feelings does she share with you about just kind of being back at this stage from the coach side of things too? Because I feel like that's got to be a fun shared element too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we ever had a conversation about that, but like, I think we were both excited. Like, I think, Julie has a stepdaughter who's awesome, and she came over to Tokyo, and I remember Julie saying something like, Kaylin's like maybe gonna come, like, and like now she's definitely gonna come because I'm a big believer in like, if you have a once in a lifetime opportunity, like you take it, and maybe I'll never go to Tokyo again, and like I want my stepdaughter to see this, and so it's like I feel like that was a special conversation of like, yeah, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like I've never been to Asia before, and I've never competed in Tokyo. I didn't make that Olympic team, and like. So I think just acknowledging like this is a big moment, and like even though it's a goal we've had all season, acknowledging how special this is. And so there was little conversations like that. But yeah, I think Julie's just so like business as usual, like in a really good way. I didn't feel like the world champs felt like any other meet this season. And I think that was a testament to like Julie, because she had been at every single meet with me all year. And it was just like, oh, it's just another race. And I had raced in a lot of like really big and loud stadiums this year, like Brussels, or like even this year was really loud. And like, I don't know. So it felt very like normal in a really healthy and good way.
Okay, so one element where maybe it didn't feel like other meets is that the whole entire world stayed in one hotel, I guess, arriving in Tokyo. And so now I guess like that I'm doing like these recaps with people, I kind of want to gather as many of, not necessarily horror stories, but just like stories from like what the hotel setup was like, because everything from elevators taking forever to go up and down, the food in the cafeteria. I mean, you went from Olympic Village dining hall where everything in the world was like being made to make, these athletes feel like they were at home, to like the best way someone described it was just sort of, it felt like a giant cruise ship. And did you sort of have that same sort of, this is not, also like, I feel like I'm going to hear from the crowd that really loves cruises. I've never been on one, and so like, but I know that there's those kinds of people out there. But did this, I guess, the hotel setup have mega cruise ship vibes?
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Whoever said that was dead on. Yeah, it wasn't great. The setup was not great. The elevators, like you said, took forever. The food was, I would give it a 3 out of 10. That's being generous. Like the buses were a nightmare. Like it was not a great setup. And like Julie and I were actually joking about it. Like we were talking about Cooper, because he was about to race. And I'm like, Cooper's going to be like, high school track was better than this. Like what the hell is going on? Like, but no, I think it was just kind of a logistical nightmare sometimes. Like I remember the buses, we were just, no, we're like, no, we're not doing that. We're just going to Uber, because it was like the entire world is staying in one hotel. And so they had these big discovery buses of like, okay, this bus is going to take you to the practice track. And they would only go every like on the half hour. So like 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, whatever. And so like USATF wanted us on like the bus that was like 5 hours before your event. And you're like, no, like, and just like kind of ridiculous, like logistics like that. And I don't think it was like USATF's fault or anything, but we were like, we're going to Uber because that's what's best for me. And USATF was like, okay, totally. And on you if you missed your race. It's like, yeah, duh. Like any other meet, it's on you if you miss your race. But I remember, so Athletics Kenya, I was talking to Susan and Faith about it, and they were like, no, we had to get on the bus. And, and then it was like full. And then when it's full, it's full. You have to wait for the next one. Like, oh, no. Whatever. And the first day, it's like a 45-minute drive from the hotel to the practice track. And whoever the driver was of the bus drove to the stadium, and everybody on the bus is like, no, practice track, like yelling at the bus driver. And apparently the bus driver starts crying because it's just because the entire bus is yelling at her. And I was like, oh no. And then she like obviously turns it around. But it took them an hour and 15 minutes to get to the practice track. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like, so just kind of logistical nightmare stuff like that I don't think would have necessarily happened if not every single athlete was staying in the same hotel.
Yeah, I could see where, from a World Athletics and the local organizing committee standpoint, like the idea was well-intentioned. It was like, we're just going to have everyone in one place. And then just sort of the realistic, like, just thoughts of like, and just like it settled in very quick, the harsh realities of like, this is not really all that possible. You brought up Cooper really quick. I did hear that like he was eating at Outback Steakhouse like most of the days that he was there to kind of keep things familiar. And then, from that standpoint of things, you gave the cafeteria food like a 3 out of 10. So, I mean, I go back to like the Usain Bolt famous story about like 2008 at the Beijing Olympics, where he only ate like chicken nuggets just to play it safe, like, and be familiar with like whatever, and that story obviously blew up. But Japan, very much known for its food. Like you go to any of the convenience stores and they have just tons of things. But prior to your race, like, do you also just sort of have to keep things like as normal as possible and just resist the temptation of like getting adventurous in such a culinary country?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, the thing with eating is that our races are so late. So like the night before, you can really eat whatever you want because it's gonna be like you're gonna be fine if you come your races at 9 p.m. the next day. So it's more just like in the day, okay, your lunch has to be a boring like turkey sandwich or like. But I got amazing sushi like.
Yeah.
Truly the night before the final, like, and it was fine. And I got, like, also that, like, they do that really thinly sliced, like, steak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was so, I forget what it's called, but it's like, yeah, no, the food was amazing. And as soon as I saw the dining hall, I was like, I don't think I'll be eating here a lot. So, yeah, I think it's just, like, depends. You got to know your body and know, like, what works for you. And I have a pretty, like, sturdy stomach.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was fine.
Did you, I guess when you saw the schedule, it didn't hit me until we were actually in Japan that I looked and saw, I was like, oh my gosh, like, wait, there's going to be races going off at 10 p.m. and like the final events some nights were going to be at like 10:20. And I figured that so much of that was like to try and accommodate the rest of the world that's tuning into this, like probably maybe for some TV windows or whatever it is, just so it's not entirely like in the middle of day in Europe, mm-hmm. which in some cases it was. But from that standpoint, did you have to adjust anything to just sort of like, I'm going to be racing pretty late? And like, even from like the mental standpoint, I feel like just the fact you have to spend a whole day thinking about the race that's coming up, is that also really hard to deal with?
I would say that's the hardest part about a 10 p.m. race. Yeah, is the day. I mean, when I first got there, I was pretty jet lagged, and like we were just talking of like before we started recording, like by 8 p.m. you were like, I can't keep my eyes open. So I kind of was getting a little nervous of the first few days. I was in Tokyo of like, how am I supposed to race at 10 p.m. if I'm going to bed at 8:30 every night? But once round one started, I think round one for us was like at 8:45. You're obviously like, you drink coffee and you're awake. And that actually really helped me reset, because then round one, I stayed up really late because I didn't get back. And, after my cool down and flush and everything, and get back to the hotel till like 11 p.m. So that kind of set me on a new schedule of like going to bed at like midnight or 1 and then waking up later. So I don't know, I think it helped reset my like circadian rhythm or whatever it's called. Like, but yeah, like you said earlier, the hardest part about a 10 p.m. race is every single hour that goes by. Like by like 1 p.m. you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to go. Like it's the mental battle of trying to, all the doubts are coming in or whatever, and you have to just like calm yourself down or distract yourself, watch a show, watch a movie. That's, I would say, the hardest part.
And then, I mean, different from the Paris Olympics where you guys were the last event, this time around you're in the front half of the championships. Then there was just sort of like the added element of like all the buzz around the buses and how far the warm-up track was going to be, and like how that was going to be like an added wrench into things. Like, so when other athletes, I think, got the chance to compete first, like, does it then all of a sudden just become like, all right, pass on the pro tips and knowledge to your fellow Team USA teammates? Because I think Sage had mentioned, in her episode that you brought up, I think, a little bit of like advice to her about how like, hey, like this is how the bus setup works, just a heads up. And so, I mean, was that just sort of like, all right, let's get as much intel as possible early on?
Yeah, the events that were the first day were definitely the guinea pigs in that. And so, but I think Julie and I felt strongly about, sharing okay, here's what we did, and it worked, or it didn't work. And, when you get under there, you can do strides, so I was fine it's also round one. I was like, I think I can make it through. Like, I'm going to try this and hopefully this works. But if it doesn't, I can adjust for the semi and the final. And, but yeah, I mean, I was warming up probably an hour and 45 before every single race. And it's like, that's so weird, and then getting on a bus, sitting on a bus for like 15 minutes after you've warmed up, and then get to the stadium and then try to jog and do strides. And so, yeah, I think, I definitely tried to share, hey, this is what it looks like to everyone that hadn't raced yet, because like, why would I not share the experience and help maybe like someone have a better warm up? And, but it it was kind of a mess. But, you know, it was also, it's one of those things like, I think I saw Sydney say or something, or it's like, you're not going to let that get in your way of having a good or bad race, right? You worked all year and like, okay, it's a logistical issue and that's like what your coach is for. You're like, you know, team USATF, like we're going to help you get to the start line as like prepared as possible to do your thing. And so, yeah, I think Julie actually got on the phone with a lot of coaches. Like I think she called Coach Taylor and, you know, Cooper's high school coach, or, you know, just like, hey, here's what to expect. And so, yeah, I think I would do it because I think other athletes and coaches would do it for me. So, yeah.
And then just, I guess we'll get into each one of the races shortly, but on that bus, like, does the vibe change like from round to round? Like in terms of just like, all right, as you're on the bus before the heats, it's like a little bit more chill and like there's more people on the bus, and then second go around is like less people, and then finally for the final, I'm assuming it's just like a dead quiet car.
It's interesting because I think it more depends on like the personalities of the people in your heats, not necessarily like how intense the rounds are. But like the first bus, I remember sitting near Sophie O'Sullivan where he won together, or round one together, and she was like, should we make like a TikTok? Like it was like good vibes. We're like joking. And then I think the semi was actually probably the most like, okay, nerve-wracking, because I do think that's the most nerve-wracking round. And then in the final, I remember there was like, I think there was like a big bug somewhere in the, like a big beetle or something. And Jess and like Gabrielle Safford were like, there's like a beetle in here. And I was like, oh my God. It like went away quickly, but I was like, that could have been like so chaotic. But yeah, it was just like, it was interesting. Like, yeah, I don't know. It was just like and the buses were like, very small. It was like almost like a party bus. Like you could only fit about 15 people in there. So you're just in a bus with everyone in your heat. It's not like a big Discovery bus. Like you're sitting next to someone. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I guess like that's the other thing too, is like as all of these different elements are being described, like fans and people have like different images in their head. Like, is it the yellow cheese bus? Is it like a big like coach bus or anything like that? And it's like now just like these tiny Japanese buses.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's get into some of these races. So first round, like how does it compare to like a USA's when it comes to just like, there aren't a ton of surprises, you know, from the standpoint of like big heavy hitters getting eliminated, and you have like the advantage of having gone through something like this so similarly, like not all that long ago. I think after this first round race, you said like the goal for the first round was just have a good final, you know, I guess like 180, run through the line, and that's essentially like what happened. Like there were a bunch of people in it, and it was a bit tight, but like not all that much. What did you kind of take away from that first round?
Yeah, I think I had a pretty deep heat. There was just like a lot of people that had run sub 4 like that season in my heat, which I'm like, okay, like this is, you know, this might be fast, this might be whatever. Like, but I'm so confident in my kick. And so like my goal for all the rounds is like do as little work as possible, and then, you know, rely on your kick that last 150, 180, 120, you know? So yeah, I think it kind of turned a little bit faster than I thought. I think I remember, I think probably with 700 to go, was it Hailu took the lead and kind of strung it out. And I was like, okay, like this is actually good because it's getting trafficy and I don't want a fall to happen, or, you know. So I remember, finishing being like, okay, got the job done. And I think I also remember wanting to watch the other races because you want to see how everyone's looking and stuff like that. And so I do think there was one big surprise, like Laura Muir not making it out.
Oh, that's right.
I think it was round one and I think that was like a whoa, because Laura's always on my radar. You know, she's truly one of the best to ever race this event, and I thought she was looking really good in Brussels. And so it was like, oh, whoa, like a heavy hitter is out. Dang, like that's crazy. It just kind of shows like anything can happen. And so I think, but yeah, I just remember being like, okay, cool, all the Americans got through, like other than Laura, like all the people you expect to get through. And, you know, maybe some people who you kind of counted out. I don't want to say I count anyone out, but like, you're like, oh, whoa, that person looks really good. Like I truly remember being like, Dorcus looks good, you know? And especially after the semi, I thought that. So yeah, you do just kind of, I mean, I'm someone that watches all my competitors and see how they're looking. I thought Sinclair looked phenomenal in round one. Like, you know, like, so you kind of just take notes of how people are looking and yeah, so I don't really remember anything crazy happening in round one though.
So you brought up, I guess, like someone from, you brought up Laura Muir and how like she was one of the heavy hitters that I guess was bounced in the first round. But then I guess like it just made me remember the fact that like even before the whole meet started, like Dariba Welteji gets bounced before the whole meet starts. And so that when that news comes out, what's your initial sort of reaction? Because I guess there was a little part of it. It's like, I mean, from my standpoint, I was like wondering like, what kind of shape is she showing up in? Like, she hadn't raced since the pre-classic. And so then when we learn all this, we just kind of realize, oh, there was so much more that wasn't just sort of like performance related taking place as to why she hadn't been on the circuit for those like late season Diamond Leagues. And so I feel like then it started to get a little bit louder because one, like when Georgia Hunter Bell shifts to the 800, it's like, okay, Nikki's odds increase. Then when Wateji's out, like it's like, okay, Nikki's odds increased again. And that kind of comes as a consequence of like you being a much bigger star now. Like it, you know, brings more attention and allows for the pundits like us to have like that real sport discussion of just like what the implications of something like that are. But for you, how did you do your best to try and tune some of that out? Because I know one thing that you always stress is like, it's not about, you know, the medals and that outcome, but instead just sort of like running, you know, your own race and being in control of what you can do. But at the same time, like it must have gotten to you at some point also to think of like, well, this is good news for me.
Yeah. No, it's a good question because it really did change kind of within I think Georgia's decision and then Walteji's situation like all happened within the same 2 weeks, you know, or and it was like it did, like you saying, all of a sudden I was going into world champs as like, whoa, Nikki could really medal, you know, and I hated it. Like I hated that there was like no noise about it, or maybe the right people were saying it here and there, or whatever, turned into like, it just really turned up the dial of just like the noise of like, that's really possible now. And I think it was hard for me. I remember talking to Julie about it of like, hey, like I kind of wanted to go in here like, ooh, Nikki maybe top 5. And then like, I could surprise something. Like now it's like, whoa, I feel this like pressure I've never felt before. And it's, like, how do I deal with it? Like, I remember we spent our whole, like, pre-race talk one time just like, hey, how do I deal with this? Because this is kind of, like, new for me. And she was like, well, of course Chris Chavez is going to be, like, Nikki can medal. Like, you're an American. You guys are friends. Like, you know, like, she, like, you know, that's his job to literally be, like, you know, who can do what. And she's like, and just try to, if you can, reframe it as, like, wow, like, yeah, I am someone that people are looking out for. She's like, because you make really good decisions in championship racing and you've shown over and over again, you show up like when it counts and you like, you're a 10-time US champ at this point, you know, like she's like trying to be like, you do deserve that hype and it's not a bad thing. And so it was like, okay, like reframe it like that. And, you know, something my mom's always said to me is like pressure, like you could view it as like, you know, this, that, and the other, but like reframe it as like, oh my God, look at all these people that believe in me. Like all these people think I can do it. Like that's so cool. And so I think I spent, you know, a few days being like, okay, yeah, like this is cool. And this doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, if you don't do it, you suck. It's just like wow, this is a possibility and let's talk about it because it's exciting. So yeah, but I do think it created a lot more noise and I kind of had to block you guys. I'm sorry. No, in a way that just, I've never like felt that before.
Yeah, I know. It's sort of like, one, we're trying to manifest it. 2, it's belief in you. Then 3, at the same time, just, yeah, I mean, Julie nailed it. It is sort of like our job to create that excitement among the fans. The only downside is just sort of when we are just so close to home. I just go back to like 2023 in Budapest, like Kyle and I were sitting down with Noah Lyles and he's like calling us out for things that we said like on our shows like the day or two, and we're like, you are listening to
You're
us
listening?
like in the middle of the world championships, like you gotta find something else. It's like, but I guess that's track. I mean, it's so small, and so it like it can get pretty close. But I mean, I think you did a good job of just kind of reframing that mentally. And so then going into like the semifinals, similar to a USA's constantly, like it's just a lesson of, did you feel like, all right, I got to treat this as like the final? Because I mean, what we saw historically in Paris and just in the last couple years, like this can go fast. And this time around, it didn't. It was a 4:07 race, but what that did was it did leave everyone in contention. And in a way, like you followed Jess and Nelly to safety, but it was, I mean, this one got physical too in that second half of it, for sure. There's the photo of like the Italian woman, I think, stiff arming you.
Yeah, fully grabbing me. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was really, really confident going into the semi. Like, I think it is the most nerve-wracking round because you're so close, and you don't want anything to go wrong because, you know, then you don't get the thing that you've been working all season for, which is just to stand on the start line of the final. So I was like the most confident, though, I think I've ever been. And then also the most nervous, probably out of all three rounds. But yeah, I think the gun went off, and I was kind of expecting Jess to control the race. And when she didn't, and I found myself in the front and on the pole position, and we were running like 72s, I was like, oh, this is fine. Like, I have the best position. Like, and so, yeah, what I remember about that race is just it going by the slowest because we were out there for the longest. And, you know, we passed 800, and I think like we ran like 72 for our first two laps. And right when we got to 800 and like 224 or whatever, Jess says something to me because like I'm on the pole position, Jess is right next to me, and she goes, let's string it out. And I go, yeah. And so literally from there, we both just like start pressing. But of course the whole field can press too. It's the world champs and it's the best people in the world. So, because I think there was some jostling right before that. That's why she said that. She's like, okay, I don't want either of us to fall. Like, let's just string it out. And so like we kind of just made each 100 from there faster. And then Nelly at the bell, like took the lead, which was great. And then it was kind of like, I think us three pulling away. But yeah, like I think it's just fun to kind of, I think when the bell rang and I was like in second or third, it's just the fun part. Cause I'm like, I know no one's going to outkick me, you know, like, and I just remember having a lot of fun that last lap and just seeing, you know, you kind of like see how relaxed you can be running this pace and, you know, anything can happen, but I think I just felt so good. And, you know, and then we crossed the finish line and I go to Jess, like there's all these pictures of Jess and I after the semi, like cracking up or like me whispering to her and everyone's like, what are you guys talking about? And I said to her right when we crossed the finish line, I was like, what exactly did you say? And she kind of makes funny. She goes, not you not knowing what I said. And you immediately were like, yeah, sounds good. And I was like, no, like I thought, did you say like, let's string it out? She goes, yeah, that's what I said. I was like, okay, cool. I just wanted to confirm. So it's just like us like making fun of each other. And yeah, but I do remember like getting grabbed or touched and pushed. And I was like, okay, like this is a lot, like chill. But yeah, I think the US final was physical like that too. So I've been in enough races this year where I'm like, it doesn't really jostle me as much because I'm like, this is like 1500 racing. And especially if we're going to run 72s, like this is just kind of bound to happen. So, yeah, I kind of just remember having a lot of fun once you run 224 through the 8, you're like, it's just going to be lights out. And that's just fun. You know, that's my favorite part about being a 1500 runner. So I'm actually really glad I got one of those, you know, at Worlds. Yeah.
So Jess's quick comment there, like, I know it's like a fully exhausting, just sort of like effort most times during these races, but like, is there any other like sort of like moment in a race before where you've had just sort of like that mid-race conversation, I guess, or something that someone says really quick that you react to?
No, not like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's more just like, I've heard people like fully taught, like, stop hitting me. It's more like contentious.
Oh yeah, that happened at USA.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I've been in races and that was not the first race that I've heard that, like, stop or like knock it off. Like, it's kind of more like that usually. So this was the first time it was like, it felt like a camaraderie thing.
It was pretty badass. Yeah.
we're like literally competitors. I'm like, all right, like, but yeah, Jess was actually telling me, I was asking her a couple days before, like, it started. I was like, oh, how does this, or after round one, I was like, how does it compare to like Tokyo in 2020 when it was like, silent? She goes, it's crazy because you could hear people breathing like so much more because there's no fans. She goes, and actually I remember Ellie St. Pierre being in round one with me, and she said, Jess let me lead, because Jess had the pole position and Ellie was right behind her, and Jess was like, what? And she goes, or something like, Jess let me by. And Jess was like, what? And she's like, Jess was like, I don't want to lead. Like, I don't want to go in front. And Ellie goes, no, I'll lead. Just let me through. And she's like, it's crazy we had a conversation like that, because like you couldn't do, like, sometimes it's too loud to even like hear what, so I was like, that's crazy. She's like, yeah, so I kind of remember a lot of talking, or you could just hear people's like breathing and grunting a lot more. But yeah, so that was my first experience with like kind of having a conversation with someone in a race. But like, I don't know, I guess that's what they do at this level. I've seen like 5Ks and 10Ks where the Ethiopians are just yapping away, and I'm like, that's crazy. But yeah.
What did you make of the Tokyo crowd? Because like, I guess like there's been mixed reviews, right? Like, one, it's the attendance was crazy, where like the stadium was packed and the fans turned out, but it just doesn't seem like it's part of like the Japanese culture to like get rowdy and go nuts in the stands. And so like Budapest, that was the case. There was like some sections where if there was a European or Hungarian athlete doing something crazy, like everyone in the stadium knew. Where in Tokyo, it was more, not necessarily like the golf clap, it was like a little bit more than that. A very respectful clap, except for when like a Nozomi Tanaka would go up to the front, then that's when they would like go nuts. But from the athlete standpoint, like, how did it feel like listening to the crowd from the track?
Yeah, I think like you said, when there was a Japanese athlete doing something cool, damn, that stadium was loud, and that was epic. And I think it's just unfortunate that like there wasn't a Japanese athlete, in any of my races. Or actually, I think there was one in round one, which was cool. But like, yeah, you almost don't want to hear it that loud, because you're like, I know the potential now, like I know how loud you guys can get. Like, come on. But yeah, it definitely wasn't like the loudest stadium I've ever been in, but people were into it. Like, it's a world champs, and I actually remember the loudest moment for me was right when we were striding out for the start of the 15 final, and the men's 400 semi was going, and the Japanese athlete, what was it, top 3 or something? Mm-hmm. He went from 4th to 3rd within the last 10 meters, and it was like truly right when they were like, okay, guys, stride out to the start line. And so we're striding out to the start line right before the final, and the stadium is like, like, yeah. And it's one of those things where I'm like, if you feel it in your ears first, and then your like your head and your body, you can just feel the stadium. And like, I was like, this is sick. And then I never felt it again. But I got my moment. That was cool.
All right, so you make it through the semifinal. I guess you have a day or so to kind of recover for the final?
Yeah, we had a day off. Yeah.
All right, so what are you trying to accomplish on this day off, and how much are you thinking about how this race could pan out?
Yeah, I just went for a run, and so we went back to like the practice track that Team USA had rented out. And it's like Julie and Emma, they're with me, and we're I think I did a couple strides and stuff. So you're not, I think that was the only time I talked about it on that day, was like right before my strides. Julie was like, I don't even remember what she said. That's bad, but just like something like, okay, let's start thinking about this, that, or the other, like just like cues that she'll always say. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's a good point. Or, yeah, we're just talking about, now that the field's set, right? And I think there was a couple athletes that didn't make it through that you thought were whatever. And then there was that DQ. And so, I think what she said was there's 14 athletes now, because 2 people got pushed through. And that does change things, because it's crowded. Like 2 more people like does change the crowdedness of it. And so, I think that was the only time I really talked about the race that day. And then it was just kind of like, oh, let's go to a nice dinner. Where do you guys think for dinner? Or like, let's, you kind of just like, you don't think about it. And, I think that's, or at least that's what works best for me is like, when it's happening, when the gun goes off, like I'm going to know what to do. There's no point in like ruminating on this, that, or the other. And so you kind of try to think about it as least as possible. And so it was a great day. It always goes by too fast, your off day. You're always like, oh, it's bedtime already and tomorrow's the world final. Like, damn, like that flew by.
Well, the crazy part is it's like, yeah, you have the day off, but then the whole next day also is essentially like a full day. So was the sort of expectation based on how, pre-classic and some of these 1500 races have gone, plus like the last couple world championship and world finals, Olympic final too, Faith is going to find her way in the front and then just kind of make this one big fitness test for the field? Or I guess like what did you think going in, stepping out onto the track?
I thought it was going to be a lot like the Budapest 2023 World Final, where when Sagai is not in the race and it's just Faith to like be the one to make it fast. She doesn't usually make it fast until the last 8 or 700 of the race. So, and that one, Budapest was more on the slower end. Like they went 65, and then their last 700 was like ridiculous. Like, and I thought it was going to be like that, but maybe a little, I was like, but maybe not 210, maybe like 208. I was like, it's crazy because I think if I had recorded myself predicting how the race was going to go, it's like so similar to how it went. Like I was like, I think we'll be 208 through the 800, and then it's going to be like a big shift. And it's like not exactly what happened, but it's similar. Like Faith took the lead, but like she didn't run 350 from the start. Like we ran 64, that's 4 flat pace. That's like the full field's there when you're coming through in 64. But then what she did next was like, shoot, like this is why she's the best. Like she ran then 63, then 62, then like 60. And it's like that way of running it, you could not pick a harder way to run a 1500, like each lap getting that incrementally faster. And that's why Faith is so good. She knows exactly how to run those splits like to a T. Like she knows what she's doing, and it was one of those things where when it's happening, you're just like, why is every step getting harder and harder? Like what is happening to me right now? And it's like she's just running the legs out of everyone. And I think that's also why you saw the overall times of people not being crazy fast, like because it was, I can't think of a harder way to run a fast 1500. But yeah, so I think I predicted it pretty. I think I know my competitors pretty well, and I know like certain things surprise me here and there, but like I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I see how that happened.
In the Instagram post that you put up, just kind of recapping like your experience in the final, I think the thing that you stressed was just like staying calm. And after that first lap, I think there was, and everyone's in it, pretty easy to do that. The second lap is where like that's when it starts to get challenging. So how did you try your best to stay calm in that moment?
I think I have just like words I say to myself each lap, and my second lap is always float. Like truly, like the other laps, the words that I say or the mantras I have change, but lap 2 for me is always float, because it's just a really good cue for me of like, focus on your form, focus on making this as easy as possible. Like, just like, it really just centers me, I think, more than any other word. And so, I only pull out the mantras if I'm like struggling. And I remember immediately after lap run, I was like, float. Like I was not feeling great, which is like fine. You kind of, I've been in races before where I don't feel great at 400, and then by 200 to go, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Like, so, you just kind of have to, it's like a marathon. I think there's certain miles, like the fifth, it's the same thing. It's just maybe more extreme of like some 200s, you don't feel great, and that's okay. You just have to get through them. And so I think just really taking it lap by lap. And yeah, like I am extremely proud of how calm I stayed. You know, like if you watch, I'm such a nerd of this sport, and I watch obviously every single race leading up to mine. And like, if you watch the people that did well, like, the people that medal are the ones who are the most calm, like who don't panic, who don't have to match every move, right? They kind of, Julie always says, like, be invisible. Like, if you're just touching on the rail or like wherever you are, like, just like be invisible the first half or first, 1300 even, like, because that like can give you so much at the end if you are staying low emotion and relaxed as possible. So that was like a big goal of mine. And I think also because the 2 other world finals I had been in, I think I let the moment become bigger than it was. Like, in the Paris final, as awesome as it was to be there, I think a big part of me was like, oh my God, this is the Olympic final. Like, and I think you saw that panic in the race. And I was like, I don't want to do that again. I want to be calm and relaxed and like confident that I belong here and I can be calm and like, so yeah, so I think that's why that was such a big goal of mine for this particular final, because that would just show me personally a lot of growth. And like, so, yeah, like maybe I didn't get the outcome I wanted, but like, man, did I hit my goal of like being calm and trying to stay low emotion and float and follow and relax, like all the words that I said to myself. Yeah, I'm really proud of how I navigated that race.
Yeah, I'm going through, you shared them on Instagram. So it was like low emotion. Okay, that was not about getting just sort of like the stage get to you, accomplish, float, that's trying to hang on from there. All right, so then lap 3, follow. At this point, I guess, remind me just sort of like, who did you set your crosshairs on? Because it was Faith up in the front. Jess went with her. Dorcas was always kind of around, and then Nelly Chapchurcher was just... Sinclair was
Sinclair and Nelly were up there, yeah.
Yeah, so then, like, who did you kind of spot from there?
So, like, yeah, lap 3, I remember, so you cross 800. I remember on that next straightaway, that's when I went by Sinclair, because I was like, okay, moves are about to be made, and I need to start following people. And I could tell she was on the rail, and I was like, I need to go around. So I, like, passed her on the outside, and that's also when Hailu all of a sudden became a part of, yeah. And so I was like, okay, this is actually great. Like, go with follow Hailu, right? It's not necessarily, I didn't have a plan before the race. That's why the word is follow. It's not follow Jess or follow Sinclair, right? It's just follow. And so it was kind of like perfect that Hailu made the move when she did, because I was like, okay, someone to follow. So I kind of just got right on her, and I think, was staying engaged. It was flooded with lactic, and so yeah, that was, I think I remember doing that until you hit the bell. And the interesting part of the 4 laps is that it's not, the 1500 is 3 3/4 laps. So I only said follow for 300 meters, because then I hear the bell and it's time to go to my my next mantra, and it's relax, 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 empty the tank. And the reason it's 3 relaxed is because it's like 300 meters, So, I don't know. What was your question to answer?
No, yeah. It was like, who'd you follow? And it was, Hailu. Because I was watching it and I was like, oh, there's a move being made, and there was a little bit of a gap forming. And then, like, luckily for you, Hailu was like the bridge to reconnect with that front pack. And so I guess going into the final lap now, I guess, how relaxed can you get in that moment when, like, you can see, where the medals are and how many people are ahead of you, and then at the same time, like, Faith has made it hurt, so like emptying the tank takes a little bit more.
Yeah I think that's why, like, I'm so glad that I stayed like process focused instead of like outcome focused, because if I had stayed so like laser focused on like bronze or bust, or like, right, like gold, silver, bronze or bust, like I think I would have completely fell apart when the bell rang, because like, I'm not near gold, silver, or bronze right now. Like, I'm in 6th place, and it's like, but that's why, like, I always go back to, like, it's about racing, and like, if you can't be first, try to be second. If you can't be second, try to be third, right? And it's like, I'm in 6th place right now. Like, I might get 6th. Like, okay, if I can be 5th, I want to be 5th, right? Like, so I think, and I also remember thinking, like, so much can happen in the last 300, and I'm not in a bad spot. Like, and you'd never know. Like, I mean, I remember when Jenny got her medal in 2017, like, I think on the backstretch, she's like fourth, you know, and it's like, you never know how hard the people up front are going, and they might have gone too hard, right? And so you just have to be there, like, in order to strike. So I just remember being like, yeah, relax, relax, relax. And then the last 100, empty the tank. And I, you know, that in that last 100 is when I went from sixth to fifth. Like, you know, I passed Hailu, and like, yeah, like I'm so proud. I'm always so proud of my last 50. Like, I think no matter what race I've been in this season or the past 5 seasons, like, I always fight for till the very end, because like, yeah, why would, it's not like third or bust. It's like, how high can I place? And that, you know, so that, I think I'm really proud of my last 100 I think it could have been easy to like pack it in and, okay, the medals are decided and I'm not there. And all right, I'm kicking with Hailu and she's fifth and I'm sixth. It's like, no, I want to be fifth. And I think I can get you at the line. And I did. And, you know, so, yeah, no, super proud of that.
Sage said something so similar, where it's sort of like, there are some athletes who are just like framed where it's like, all right, once the medals are gone, they pack it in, and it's like, Sage is like, I want to finish as high as possible. And so like in that final stretch was able to make up ground and fight for a couple extra spots, because, yeah, I mean, like, you just never know. So I guess from there, 5th place, highest finish at a World Championships or an Olympics for you. I mean, so much to celebrate. And I think like hearing the interview, I think when you came through the mix zone, yeah, I mean, it's like the feelings you had were, and I could tell just sort of like, I watched all 3 videos like kind of in succession, and like your tone is so different in that final one, because it's like you were happy, you know, that you finished 5th, and then at the same time, like, there is just sort of that little bit of disappointment that you have for yourself, but like everyone, I think, was ready to celebrate just like how high you finished. And so I guess what you came through, and it was like such a composed interview that you did, but then I feel like as soon as you walked through and finally had a moment to yourself, like, did the emotions get to you a little bit?
Yeah, no, totally. I think you just are gonna ride some waves, like, I think it is cool that initially, like, my reaction was really proud, and I am really proud still, but I think, yeah, you get a little bit more time to process it, and you're like, oh wow, I was really close. And like, you know, I think the more you commit your life to this and the more you go all in, like, the harder it stings. Cause like, I feel like the past 2 years, I've like really gone all in on this thing. And like, I've committed my life to seeing like how high can I place, and can I be good enough for a medal, you know? And so I think it's hard, because you're like, wow, was it all like not worth it, you know? And you kind of have those doubts or whatever, but then I just look at like the journey. I'm like, no, I'd do it again if I got 10th. Like, you know, it's such a worthwhile journey to go on to see like how good you can be at something. And I think that's why I feel like I connect with runners who, at all levels, because that's what everyone's just trying to do, right? Like, anyone trying to run a marathon in sub 3 hours, like, you're just trying to see like how good can I be, and you know, you sacrifice this, that, or the other for it. And yeah, I think it's a worthwhile thing to endeavor, and I'd do it again. And so, but with all that being said, I think it stings the most, because I think I care the most. I care more than I ever have before, and I feel like when I was a younger athlete, or anyone that ran in college with me, or, you know, like, I kind of just like, I had this protective, I think, like, coping mechanism of like, I'm not going to go all in, because like, I want a safety net to fall back on if I do, right? Like, I'll do all the work, but I'll also go like, I'll party, you know, or I'll do this, that, and the other, like, to kind of be like, oh, well, I didn't win because I don't lift every week, or, right? Like, you kind of make certain bargains with yourself. And I think I just like finally got to a point in my life or career, maybe I just got mature enough, I don't know what it is, of like, no, it's cool to care, and I'm gonna go all in this thing. I'm not gonna like, I'm gonna go to bed every night, like, when I need to. I'm gonna eat right. I'm not gonna drink anymore, like, right? Like, I'm gonna lift every single week, like the way, the little things that I've done the past 3 years, like, it's I've gone all in for the first time. And it's like, I think you see that in my success. And then that's why, damn, like, I went all in and it still wasn't good enough. Like, damn, like, how do you cope with that? But like, at the same time, like, well, that's the journey and you can't skip steps. And I think I'm going to look back on this race next year or in 3 years and be like, yeah, I had to go from 7th to 5th to then 3rd, right? And even if that ever happens, the outcomes, like, they're to a certain extent out of your control, right? Like, I don't know, I think of the men's, like, 1500, for example. Like, I don't think Jake did anything wrong. And that guy running 12 for his last 100, like, that's none of Jake's business. Like, it's nothing to do with him. So sometimes, like, I don't know, I'm just yapping now, but like, yeah, the outcome is so out of your control. So all you can do is your best. And I can walk away proud because I did my best and I went all in, and I know I went all in, and I got rewarded for getting a top 5 finish. And that's pretty cool. And you have to celebrate that.
It's progress. And then on top of that, like, all of this is stacking. And like, all of this work that you put in over the last 2 years, like, we've already seen just sort of like the jumps that you made from one year to the next, that like, there's no telling that like it probably can happen again with another year of that commitment. So tons to be proud of. And I think like, yeah, the overwhelming feeling, I think, in general has been just sort of like 5th is awesome. And like, a lot of people are proud of you. So I guess from there, the celebration, like, I saw the video, I think that was either you posted or Julie posted, that you were out in your uniform, I guess, having a celebratory drink right after the race. So like, how soon after getting out of the stadium did that happen?
So I went to drug testing right
after.
That's right, yeah. Which sucks. Went great, of course. No, but it's fine. Like, happy to do it. It's just like, you really don't have to pee when you're sweating that much in that humidity. So I was just kind of stuck there alone for a long time. I think that's also why, like, you're like, the interesting thing about the mix zone is like, you go through it and then you see your coach, and usually like athletes, or at least for me, like, I'm kind of harder on myself until I see like Emma or Julie and people in my sports center, and they're like, you did great. Yeah. And then you're like, oh yeah, I did, And so I kind of had to wait a long time to like see Julie or Emma. And like, so that was like, yeah. So I went straight to drug testing. You're supposed to do 90 milliliters, and I gave 80. Oh. And I just like, so I did a partial, and it was like, oh, of course. And then whatever, I eventually hit 90. And then, Julie, actually, I met her in drug testing. She got there eventually. And so then me and her walked to where Emma was, and we got, just a glass of champagne. And so it's like a solid like 90 minutes after the race because of all the processing and everything. But yeah, it was nice. And it's like, that's what I wanted. Like a goal. Yeah, all you want is to be with your people. And celebrate or, commiserate, whatever it is, like a little bit of both. And you just got to process the really big thing that just happened. And that was awesome to be with them. And Kaylin, Julie's stepdaughter, was there too. So it was just fun and just good vibes. And Julie and Emma are truly some of the most like hilarious people ever. And so we're just like, I just remember like laughing a lot.
That's what you want after a race like that. So all things considered, what was the most fun part of this whole entire season, or like the most memorable thing that you're going to take away from this one?
From the season?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's too big of a question.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I think there's something to, I think also why this, like, there's a part of me that like is a little bit down about this is because I stood on that start line and believed with my whole entire being and heart that I could walk away with a medal. And like, I think that that's the thing I have to celebrate the most, because like, I've never stood on a start line of a global championship being like, I can do this, I can medal. Like, and that is like, I think what I'll take away the most, because like, once that belief is there, I don't think it goes away. So now I can just build on that. And it's like you said, it's a step. It's like, it's a step in the journey. And I think the more time that's like gone on since the race, the more I'm like, this was a really important step. And like, and I'm so proud of like all the things I fought through this season to get there. Like, you know, there's things like a coaching change. Like, that's crazy. That's a crazy thing to go through. And I went through it in February, you know, and then in like, I don't know, like just like what, like then I got like training partners for the first time. And, you know, that was in April, May, you know, that's something else to process. Like, you know, like I don't know, there was just so many things that happened along the way that were kind of like just change. And like, even though they were really good changes and I would do them all over again, it's just hard. And then you add in like, I guess the state of the world right now and the way like trans people are getting, I don't know, like harassed, assaulted, attacked, their rights taken away. And like to be a member of that community and just like to see that happening day in and day out, like it's just a lot of hard things to keep pushing through and keep your head down and like keep fighting for this goal. And I'm just really proud of, I guess, all the ways I continue to show up and continue to get my reps in and like try to have a good attitude and, you know, despite all this stuff going on. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but those are all the things I'm proud of.
No, yeah. I think like, yeah, you showed up for so many different people, so many different communities, just all throughout the year. I would say, like, in addition to that, just like so many different times and places that like I mean, it's been a long year.
Yeah.
So
it's not over yet.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's not even over yet. Okay. So I guess like that transitions perfectly. Just sort of like, is it tough to keep training now and extend this, I guess, a whole nother couple more weeks? Because Athlos will be just kind of like the big final close to the season. So how has training been going, I guess, since then? And I guess it'll be fun. I guess one more mile. You got Faith.
Yeah.
One more time. Gudov's a guy slated to pace this thing. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Slated to pace is crazy.
She might win the whole thing too.
Yeah. She's gonna pace and finish. Yeah. No, I think, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to come back and keep training. But you know what? Okay, a movie I watched before the final was Free Solo. Mm-hmm. The documentary of Alex Honnold. Free soloing.
I saw the clip of you crying.
Crying, yeah. Just such a beautiful film. And he climbs the stuff, right? He does it. Spoiler alert. He doesn't die. He, you know, climbs El Cap. And like, one of the things he does immediately after is like, he does some like hang things on his like bar or whatever when he gets back to his van. And it's like, I feel like that's me right now. Like, I just freaking soloed El Cap. Like, I competed at the World Champs. And, like, why not just, like, continue to race and hang on a, you know, like, no, but it's fun. Like, I'm excited for Atlas. And it's not like I'm like, all right, gotta hit this big workout. Like, I'm truly just, like, going through the motions. And Atlas, I think it's going to be just, like, a celebration of a good season. And, yeah, but I am excited. It's a mile. And, you know, haven't raced one of those this outdoor season, so it's fun.
And it's a fun trip to New York.
New York, my favorite city, yeah.
All right. I want to end with a couple fun questions. I guess best 7-Eleven pickup. I watched your haul on TikTok. After seeing the video with that you did with Emma, I went and I attempted to do the iced latte.
I saw that,
with the
coolish, yeah.
Except my coolish was like, I think too frozen, and it was just like so difficult to like squeeze out of the whole thing. I was like, this is a fail. But for you, I guess, what was best pickup? Because I think also the challenge with it is that everything, you can't read these labels, and you just have to go off of like what the packaging looks like sometimes. And I'd be like,
go off of vibes.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna like this.
Yeah. No, that was fun. Emma and I did a few 7-Eleven hauls. Yeah, there was definitely some snacks that were like, would not get that again. And then there was some that we were like, okay, we're getting 10 of these and putting them in our suitcase. So, yeah, I actually really did like the coolish iced latte that I made. It was pretty good. It's like ice cream and iced coffee, so it just tastes like a frappuccino. But yeah, that was probably my favorite.
After all that talk about going to like a pig or owl cafe, like I didn't make it out to one. I ended up at a robot cafe. But
same thing.
Yeah. But you made it out to like a pig cafe, right? Or
I did, yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was great. It was, yeah. So Julie listened to our podcast that we did talking about it. And so she texted me like the next day and was like, I booked us a pig cafe. I was like, oh my God. So me, Emma, and Julie went, and it was like, I think the theme of this like world champs for me is like calming.
Yeah.
Because it was so calm. We literally sat there for an hour and pigs just like came up and slept on you. And it was like the most adorable, like cutest thing ever. Oh, and then they also like bring you a coffee. So it was great. Yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend. There was the pigs that were on Emma were kind of fighting with each other, so I didn't love that vibe. But my vibe was calm. So they were all just fighting because they all wanted to sit on Emma's lap.
We walked past like one that had otters, and I was like, okay, this is a little bit too weird. It was just like, yeah.
Otters?
Yeah.
Were they in the water?
No. Like, I don't know how they made it work, but then there was a long line to get in, and I was like, no, like that just feels
unethical.
Yeah.
I don't know why pigs don't feel unethical. But...
Well, that was like, Sam, Mac's wife, for the listeners wondering, it's like her whole thing was just sort of like, I need to know everything about like where these pigs are sleeping at night, like how they're being taken care of in order to even just think of going to one of those spots. But in the moment you're just sort of like, this is really nice.
No, they took good care of him. I was kind of nervous of that too, but they were telling us that it's like really important to socialize them, and so this being around people and other pigs like gets them really social. And then the woman that were working there, I was like, okay, they know what they're doing. They were like, the pigs really liked them too, so I was like, okay, this is a good sign. Okay. Just trying to justify it.
All right, final question is, what is one thing from Japan, like culturally or whatever it is, that you're hoping to adapt to like your everyday life and to bring to America? For me, I noticed yesterday when I was at this concert that I think I was like trying to point at like one of the like concession stands, and because people in Japan don't point, I started, they said you use your whole hand, and so like as awkward as it is at first, like I've just started pointing at things with my full hand, and so I was like, I don't know how long this is gonna go for, but like as of right now, like I am just pointing at things with my full hand at this point. And now it's just like so weird because in Japan people don't walk around and eat and drink at all.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know that maybe my first time in Tokyo back in 2019, and so in retrospect I was probably being super rude, but then this time around I was so cognizant of the whole thing. But then I was like, like that's so great, like I'm gonna bring that back to the US. And then just today I was just like, it's just sometimes so nice to go for a walk with like AirPods and a cup of coffee in your hand, that I was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to be one thing that I'm keeping around. So that lasted all but like 12 hours before I finally like gave it up. But for you, I guess, like, is there anything that you're like, you know what, that was pretty cool for 10 days. I'm going to try and keep doing that.
I liked the bowing. I liked how people bowed.
We got to get into more bowing. Yeah.
Yes, got to do that. I liked that when you accept something, you accept it with both hands.
Yep, both hands.
I thought that was just really cute. Like, you know what I mean? Like someone was handing me like my room key, and
it's
I'm
sometimes
just,
the tiniest thing, and you have to receive it with both hands.
Two
it's
hands
like
to get a room key.
A receipt for things, and it like it's like, this is a tiny piece of paper. Why does it take two hands? But
I guess it just felt like polite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I did appreciate their timeliness, like the being on time.
Well, because I heard that like if you arrived on time for something, you were technically late. Like most people are early to things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am, as someone who is chronically late.
Same.
I think I'm going to try to implement that into my life. Perfect. Except I was literally like 3 minutes late for this Zoom call, so not going well.
That's okay. I like saw that the longest delay that the trains had while we were there was like 6 minutes total. I was like, New York could never, like.
No, yeah.
So, it was overall, like, I'm in favor of, like, world athletics and the world championships going to, like, cool places around the world. Because, like, for both of us, like it's really cool that this is part of our job to go and explore like all these different places. But at the same time, like it is like exhausting sometimes to adjust and then, you know, perform at your best and then try and just, I mean, so it'll be interesting because I guess the next couple we have next year, it's go back to Budapest for World Ultimate Champs. That'll be nice. Then after that, it's Beijing, which I've never been to China. And
same.
Then after that will probably be, there's
LA.
LA, and then, so LA will be normal. And then after that, it's probably, I would think, the way I think it's going to shake out will probably be 2029 will be London, which will be nice to go back to like.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Europe.
Like Europe, yeah.
And then 2031 or 2030 will be.
That doesn't even sound like a real year, Chris.
No. And the thing is like Cooper Lechtenhaus is going to be like 20 years old for.
I don't think I'll be running then, but okay, where's 2031? Do we know?
Well, this is a good time to get out. I think it's going to be Nairobi, Kenya, which will mean altitude.
Oh shoot! I would crush.
Yeah.
I actually heard Silesia, Poland they did a really good job with that Diamond League, and I was like, wow, they're like really. And someone said it's because they're trying to bid for a world champ, so maybe they're trying to bid for 29 or 31. I don't know.
Or 33 or something like that. At this point, like
these aren't real years.
No, these aren't real years. As long as it's not like going back to Eugene again, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with like U.S. champs or trials in Eugene, but I don't know if like experiencing the crowds that we had in Budapest, Paris, and Tokyo. I'm like, okay, that's what a World Championships feels like. But
no, I'm excited. I'm really excited for Budapest next year, and I'm also really excited for the like Ultimate World Championships. Truly, just because like the format, like we don't have to worry about USA. Like I don't know. I think it'll just be really cool to see how it plays out. In like I could, for the first time in my life, peak for a championship instead of having to like peak for USA's and then peak again. Like I don't know. I think it could just be could suit the Americans really well, and so. I think the crowd in Budapest was like really awesome.
Yeah, I guess like the fans are probably curious. I don't know. I haven't studied it up enough. But your path to like the World Ultimate Championships is just going to be like chasing ranking, right? A bunch.
Yeah, I think it's ranking. I think it might be a descending order. Well, it's interesting because a lot of spots are like sealed up. Like if you're Olympic champ, you're automatically in. If you have run the fastest time in the world that year, you're automatically in. And then I think there's like one or two other ones where you like kind of get automatically in. Or if you win the Diamond League final, I think you're automatically in. Like something like that. And then you kind of fill the field from there. And
the cool thing in the 1500 is Faith could just like take up all of those categories.
All those.
And then just be
exactly.
like, all right, we're going to go off descending order for the other 11 spots. Yeah.
Yeah. And also world ranking, I think, plays a big role. And everyone that ran well this year has a kind of a leg up. So, it'll be interesting how it shakes out. But yeah,
it'll be fun.
Already thinking about next year.
Yeah, there we go. Nikki, always a pleasure chatting it up with you and recapping and reflecting on an amazing season. And luckily, I'll get to see you in New York very soon for one more race.
Yeah, of course. No, thanks for having me. It's great.